Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and selamat sejahtera. I am Raja Nur Farahain binti Raja Hassan as the Chief Editor and welcome to the Business Ethics today. Today's headlines is about how did our editorial teams decide on the values behind the Surya Mas Energy and Tanjung Solar magazine. Was it about the business survival, business reputation, or even something bigger than the profit itself? Let's go live to our editorial room where the team is preparing for the magazines before publishing. Alright team, before we send this magazine to print, we need one final discussion where we need to know why does our magazine look the way it is and what values are we trying to communicate with the readers. With me now, we have our feature writer, Shakira. Let's start with you.
So at first, I thought our magazine should be more focused to a business challenge and a survival. The Suryama case involves a monsoon disruption and also a supply chain problems. So from that perspective, the company do face a lot of pressure. So initially, I want all the readers to understand the difficulty business experience in their real life.
That's true, Shakira. I also believe that commercial pressure should be discussed fairly instead of blaming one side completely.
Exactly, and that is why we need to decide what our editorial position should actually be. And next we have our opinion columnist, Humaira, and you were the person who suggested our 4 core values, right? And can you explain why?
Of course, Farah, after reading the entire case, I feel that the biggest issue is not legal responsibility. It was ethical responsibility. That's why I propose 4 values, which is integrity.
So Humaira, why those 4 exactly?
Because the integrity means being honest in business communications and decisions. Farah, do you know why we use transparency?
Yes, I think I know transparency means of you openly disclosing important information instead of keeping stakeholders in the dark. Is that right?
Yes. Next, accountability means taking responsibility for decisions and their consequence. Lastly, product safety means you put people well-being above financial interest. For me, this value represent the ethical lessons that readers should learn from this case.
I actually agreed with those values, but I also suggested that we acknowledge the counter-argument. Business operate under intense pressure and difficult decisions have to be made. That's why we included opposing viewpoints in our opinion section.
Exactly, Auni. We understand the pressure, but we don't accept excuse such as dishonesty, risky practice, and lack of responsibility.
Alright, thank you, Myra. Next, we have our art director, Aino. Can you tell us about your visual choices? Why does the magazine look the way it does?
Everything was designed to support our editorial value. I can say that the balance scale between money and integrity represent the conflict between profit and ethical responsibility. The sheet symbols stand for accountability, transparency, and protection. We also choose blue as our primary color because it reflects trust, professionalism, and honesty. Instead of making the magazine look like an academic essay, we want it to feel like a real investigate business magazine. We want readers to understand our message even before reading the article themselves.
Oh, so I think those visuals help us communicate our ethical position much more effectively.
One thing our lecturer asked us to explain is how we work together to decide on these values. Alright, so our sub-editor, Auni, can you share our process?
Of course, Farah, our decision were made through discussion and collaboration. Everyone had different opinion at the beginning. Some members prioritized business survival, and the others focus more on ethics and stakeholder responsibility. We listened to every viewpoint and discussed the pros and cons of each argument. Eventually, we agreed that integrity, transparency, accountability, and product safety should become the basis of our magazine.
So, even though we had a different perspective, we reached a common understanding through teamwork and open communication.
And that's the story behind our magazine. It is not just about legal dispute, but it is about the values that businesses choose to uphold.
And ultimately believing that some values should never be sacrificed for a profit.
but also recognizing ethical responsibility.
It is about using visual to communicate trust, honesty, and accountability.
It is about understanding commercial pressure.
Because profit cannot replace integrity. Thank you, Doctor.